positive and negative.
Welcome to Champions Network TV, your channel of choice, where your stories and your voices are heard. And today we are talking about a very important topic, which is the impact of technological development. Whether is it positive or negative, we don't know. And welcome our panelists, and we are going to delve into this important topic, especially at this juncture, where if we don't make appropriate decisions, either we are going to be left behind or we will leapfrog. So to kickstart our discussion, we have got our distinguished panelist, a farmer and educationist and thinker, Jenna. Over to you, Jenna.
Hi, good day, good time, whatever time it is, to everyone who is watching this program. Thank you, Mr. Mija, for putting me on the limelight. We're looking at the topic that says the impact of technological advancement, positive and negative. The bottom line starts from this issue of technology. The technology is always, people think that there is someone who is responsible for this technology, for a better technology. But because of this globalization, I think the technological advancements are coming from all over the world, all places where you find some light in some people that are enlightened. So because there is changes to the everyday lives of our people, there has to be some positives and some negatives concerning this technological advancement. If you look at some positive technological advancement, we look at things like improved communication, increased productivity, better healthcare, enhanced access to information and education. Right? But it's always, when you talk about these things, there are also some small attachments to these developments or these improvements. Things like the small things that we use actually to foster that development. So as a result, you find that because some countries or some regions might be lacking those basic things that will be needed to leapfrog to the next level, you always find that there's always some challenges, right? So firstly, we can look at the challenges, which include the environmental effects, the losses of jobs, the increased dependency, right? And depletion of some of the resources. And some of these resources, some natural resources. And you also find things like the waste accumulation. I think if you look at the nuclear, for instance, nuclear power stations, the nuclear waste is something which is not good at all. So those wastes, the accumulation of those wastes is also another challenge that we have. Right? Mr. Makombe, I think you can take off from there now. So go before we get into the yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant submission. I would approach it from the angle of what constitutes technology. Technology is a practical application of knowledge, particularly scientific knowledge, to enhance problem solving approaches. So we need that. Technology has gone through different phases of our livelihood. We've had industrial revolution, we've had agrarian revolution, digitalization. Now we're in postmodernity. So the core issue relating to everything here has been technology. At some point or another, we have had some involvement with technology. So what has been the advantage of this so-called technology? Technology is said to have made life better. But life better is a very objective or subjective debate as regards, how better has life been through the different phases of technology. Some say it has made life easy in terms of automation. Some say it has led to loss of jobs, and both with the advantage brought about by technology have not been looked at the common man or common woman in the street. So how do we explore the advantages of technology? Technology is an evolving concept. It changes all the time. And in line with skills application, one has to be updated as well. If you are not updated in that area or that line, then the structure associated with, or the infrastructure associated with technology will lose you. And you don't want to be lost in this type of journey. So when we talk of technology, we must always consider the availability of skills or skills application. No matter how minute, one has to be in line with the new skill setting out there. I remember I was talking to a certain educationist. He was talking about the new approach. Once upon a time, there was something called the new approach, and then there was the color disaster, and now we're at the heritage disaster. So these are phases of development in the technology. So yes, technology can be a challenging fraternity.
Thank you so much, Makombe and Jenna, for highlighting, and I think Makombe putting it into historical perspective and coming from the agrarian and the industrial, and now we are, as he said, in the post-modernity. And so, and I think the key thing that you mentioned there is about availability of skills that will take advantage of the technology. So the question is maybe looking at it from African perspective. Are we investing in the skills that are needed in the, or what is the technological space that we are in? Are we in the digitalization, or as Africa as a whole, are we now embracing AI, or we are still leaving behind?
I think Africa is flooded with a lot of knowledge, and that needs some appraisal of some sort. The sort of knowledge we have is access to needs. Africa needs what we call tertiary application of knowledge, something that is practical, something that can be implemented with minimal effort, something easy to understand. There's this notion that for something to be academic, it has to be difficult. It's not quite correct. Yes, we may have difficult syllabuses pertaining to anything, but the core issue is it has to be understood. We need to have structures that can formulate it into a model that is understood by anybody in skills application. The issue of certification has always been debatable. If you look at most of our certificates, they are predominantly new. Do we need certification for any skill? What's the difference between somebody who has got certification who can do the job and somebody is uncertified but can do the job? So that's a debate to explore. Yeah, I think I'll leave that for now.
Okay, I think I also want to look at the question that Misha has just asked about the skills. Do we have the required skills? I just want to answer that one. You know, when you look at the technological advancement, as we start a new technology, we might say we will be at par. Everyone won't be knowing what the next level is. But the bottom line is now the people should be teachable, and the people should be able to embrace the new technology. And most of the technology that is coming in, for instance, in this postmodernity, it's actually something that you learn by doing. So it means the first thing is you have to accept, embrace it, and feel the need so that you can also then move on with the rest of the people that have actually even discovered the new trend of doing things or the new technology that is to be um, implemented. So, in terms of the skills, I think the bottom line is that people must just be able to move and be flexible and ready.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to technology, we need to seriously step back and learn in a serious way how we can use any technology for the betterment of ourselves and the community. Because at the moment, I think we find even our smartphones, we just use them to film things and laugh. But do we know that people are creating serious businesses using these smartphones and changing lives and learning about new technologies that are coming, new softwares? I think when something new comes, as a people, I'm not just talking about black people. As a people, when something new comes, like when we were growing up, they were saying, like, when something new comes, as a people, we resist it and we look at it suspiciously. Oh, this new technology. Ooh, ichativiringira wana. But if we stand back and learn about these new things coming, we can learn that they will some of them might make our lives easier. But the way you use them, that's where the question mark is. Because you can use them to better yourself, or you can just use them to have fun, laugh and go home, or point and say, this can be used in the UK, this can be used by those people. I'm only farming, I don't need technology. But we know, even farming, you no longer use like manual hoes. New technology coming, they came, tractors came, you use tractors. You no longer use the old plow. That's technology. Things keep changing, things keep getting easier. So we need to embrace these things and learn how they can help us, not just look at things
I,
and think.
I think I just want,
Go on.
okay. I just want to add on to your question, which you said, why do people become skeptical about the new things? I think for us, mainly here in Africa, if we look back at the way this colonization came in and how the technology was also put in the in the whole program of colonization. And then later on, we realized that, oh, okay, we have been tricked by the word civilization. Yes, there was civilization, technology changing, but the way it was then implemented and the way we were then suppressed makes us to have that feeling of skepticism every time there's a thing that has been introduced, especially if it is originated from the West. Because we still have got that feeling to say, don't just trust all these things that come from there. Look here, we were told about civilization, and in us trying to understand civilization, we ended up now, if you look at the agrarian reform, you look at the way we were eventually, how we were moved from where we were staying in the name of civilization. But during that time, we didn't see that this was going on. So the same still applies to this new technology, this post-modernity. When you see that, especially now, look at what listen to what Misha was saying. You were saying, let's look at Africa and what happens there. Look at okay, I would say look at Elon Musk. The guy is from South Africa, but look at what he's doing with this Starlink. So let's not hide behind the finger and always say look down on Africa. That's why I was saying in this era that we have, because of globalization, anyone who gets the thing first, he has to be complimented. Anenge abata chimuti atochibata akutoenda nacho.
The thing is, we are not looking down on Africa. The skepticism is everywhere. I think it's generational, whether white or black. When technology comes, even with white people, the older generation will look at it and go, "Oh, we don't know these mobile phones. The young people, this is young people stuff." The skepticism is everywhere. It's not just our people. When something new comes, we are used to what we are doing. Okay, it's like trying to teach an 80 and a 90-year-old about a laptop. They are used to what they are doing, and what they are doing works. Now we are trying to introduce this new thing, and they look at it and go, "Ah, no, I don't think I can do that." So the skepticism, I think it's generational. It's not to do with color or because we are in Africa. No, here we see it here. This AI thing, older people are like, I don't think this is young people stuff, and I don't think it's relevant to what we are doing. Remember when computers came, when computers started coming, and the skepticism was so huge, people never thought they would ever use computers like that. Even white people will say, this is just a phase, it will pass. The internet came. No. I will not put my information on the internet. Never. But look now, everybody's on it. Everybody, the banking system, the retail system. You cannot say your information is not on there because it's there. We are using internet. We are using emails. We are all there. But when something new comes, we everybody, not we all step back. But the main problem is we then catch it padenga kubatira pamusoro hatichadzidza manje kuti chinhu chichi chinogona kutibatsira. I think ndo pamuri kutaura ipapo kuti abata chimuti ngaachitodzidzisawo vamwe, totodzidzisana kuti chimuti chichi vanhu chinoshanda, ngatichidai. Zvataita kumusha macooperative paakatanga, vanhu vakadzidzisana kuti tikadai zvinoshanda, tikashanda takadai zvinoshanda. That needs to be done now.
Maybe going back to Mr. Makombe's submission earlier on, he mentioned that Africa is flooded with knowledge. Is it real knowledge or is it flooded with certificates? Well, I remember doing my dissertation when I was in uni, and I think it's gathering dust in the, in the libraries if it is still there. And but the certificate is still, I am still with it. It's new, as you say. So, do we have knowledge about the new technology in Africa, or we have got certificate that says we know these things?
Education is rehearsed knowledge. It's not defined to confirm you as a genius. That's not the role of education. Education brings about technology. Technology works hand in hand with observation. Observation cooperates with environmental factors. Environmental factors bring effective tools to make anything workable. If you look at the word silent, right? And if you look at the word listen, they both have the same letter. It's not a coincidence that it is like that. It is formidable knowledge for us to understand that for you to progress, you have to listen and you have to observe. So observation is key to whatever you're going to do. Whether say, the key is learning what is on the table. Remember, listen and observation. So technology, in whatever format is introduced to us, we must be in a position to understand what are the mechanics of the syllabus. Our problem is we do not do that because we learn it to achieve certification. That's where the problem is. We really go flat out that, I've got to pass this, and when you pass this,
a degree,
can I get a degree and then what? And then I've got
especially when it comes to technology, I discourage people who go to university to do IT, because by the time you finish your degree, IT is moving so fast.
Yeah,
IT is moving every day. You turn around, there's new software. There's new way to do things. By the time you do 3 years,
there's a new wave of knowledge.
But tiri kuti ngaisvike technology yacho ka uri munhu anokwanisa kuzoadjasta kuzoiita. So if you've done some IT, unenge une pekubatira pekutangira.
Jenna, when you go in, when you are positioned to learn a skill, unofanira kunge uine a certain attitude. Zvangofanira munhu ari mukasi unotaura ukaramba uchiita noise yoga uchisaidza ucharohwa kana uchabuda. So there are certain ground rules dzinofanira kuti are followed. We are not following those ground rules. We go in there and say, okay, Mati teacher, zvekuita sei? Haizvandiri kuona. So they start with resistance. So we spend the greater time of navigating resistance until such time we get to a point where we start developing. It's the other way around. It's called an unconventionality model.
Also, if you look
instead of kutanga kuna Genesis to kutanga kuna Revelations to all mashure.
Also, if you look at IT unozvidzidzisa. It's all there on the internet. Everybody has got smartphones. I've to those who know me, I've learned to do. I can create websites, amazing websites. I never went to school to university to do that. If you open YouTube right now, 2 weeks of learning, sitting there on your smartphone, you will become an expert in whatever it is you want to learn. This idea of
That
3 years at university, 3 years of learning, by the time you finish learning, it has already moved on. You're already left behind. It's
and
too
and
long.
and
that
and
that
even to add to that, so called is that the fact you will be reading books that are even behind, and you'll be
Too
taught
old.
by professor who learned in the previous years and is
Too
not up
old.
to date with the current technological advance. I don't know.
Well, it's easier to say that. There was a guy. It's a book I read a few years ago now. His name, I don't know if this was a he or a she. Well, the name was Piaget. Piaget was an educationist. He had a lot of models evolving around education. I learned a lot about the concept of learning from the known into the unknown, but he never consolidated why people should learn. But he advocated that your environment is saturated with education. If you read the book, even today, that's what it facilitates and consolidates. If the knowledge is there, so it's up to us to gather the knowledge and filter it into respective clusters and develop it into something else, which we fail to do. Because mwana akauya achinzani musikanzwa, Piaget, if I remember very well, akati this kid anogona kunge aine zvinhu zvaari kuda kucommunicata zvatiri kutadza kuunderstanda. That's what he said. And then there's also a school of thought which defines munhu musikanzwa is basically mischievous, juvenile delinquent, and they should be dealt with forthwith. So there's that balance of debate as regards how do we progress with knowledge. Because knowledge is a complex institution. Complex it is, but it doesn't make you a genius. What makes anybody a genius is exposure. Exposure is gained from the environment. When I talk to you, Jenna, when I talk to you, Meja, when I talk to you, Soko, there's a saying by Professor Bob Andrews, which says, every stupid person has got a story to tell. I've never forgotten that. Because you'll find that, don't underestimate knowledge that comes your way on the observation that the person who is delivering it is unfit. There is no such thing as an unfit person when it comes to knowledge delivery, and hence technology.
I want to go back to Soko's point. Ngatisataure zvatizwa tisina kuswera mana. We must talk about what we've done, where we've been. Because when you say munhu anenge aita IT haana zvaaita, the pain that I feel. You remember the story that I told you some other time when I had some doctor friends who visited me at an agricultural college. And they came first year, they came second year, they said, hi. 3 years uchiita agriculture unopenga here uri kuzviitiko panapa chibage chinokozera vakana mbuya kumushago. You see, that's the kind of attitude Soko manje kuti if you kana taiti kana musingaemeka ivi musataura zvevamwe.
But so
The thing is,
education evolves around willing buyer and willing seller. That's what education is about. If you're not prepared to embrace, you don't get it.
The thing is, Jenaka, if those people had come to you to do apprentice, to do farming apprentice, they would have qualified long before 3 years. They would have been farming themselves long before 3 years. Okay?
Ivo vanonga kutaura macho ivovo kuno kuEurope wakuita apprenticeship yemedicine.
They will come and
we are now facilitating apprenticeship yekuti uda kudzidza kuita doctor uya kuita apprenticeship unobata so.
And after those 3 years, those people will come looking for a job from you, Jenna.
Yeah.
They will come and say, "Oh, can I manage your farm? Can you?" And while he's managing your farm, you'll be teaching him because he doesn't know practical. He has read books, lots of books, but practically you'll be teaching him. But he did 3 years. He's got a degree.
Can I give you a simple example? And I always want to give examples of things that are in my field. Right. Tineka pembenene, katruguda, we've got a pest that we want to kill, right? There are so many ways of killing that pest, and therefore there are also so many types of chemicals that can kill that pest. You can either apply a pesticide that can kill the pest by contact. You can apply a pesticide that can kill the pest by after actually eating the chemical. Then there's going to be a problem in the stomach. Or you can have a pesticide that can get into the chemical and is going to disable the nervous system. Or you can have the pesticide that can affect the heart. But all those nitty gritties, you don't even know which one applies to what and why is it important to know such things. Imimi manje munongoti generally gakafe chero kafa. That's the bottom line. Yes, we cannot argue with you. That's your reason. You
Avadaro Chena. No. Rokuti vhara Chena. Budaro. Kuno inonzi the least intrusive option. Yeah. Kuno inonzi the least intrusive option. Iko agriculture. Muda kuremombe. How are you gonna do it? I always tell people the best equation in life is how, why, what, when, and where. That's the most effective equation. Least intrusive option ndoinoshandiswa in the first instance. And iwe unotozviziva utongoti vharawo zvavo unotoziva munhu akanga achida kupinda pakadai zvazvidai izvi zvakapaka. This is not even rocket science to you. You can do sleepwalking. Iwe usadaro iwe isaisi uri kuitemere ita zvaka
because the general things, Chet. Why do you want to generalize? Don't be general.
Ndikauya paprasi pavo ndikati ndoda kudai unti ita so. Pane imwe inonzi instruction knowledge yagara itongoriko. You've mastered it to the point yekuti isusu kuibata kwacho ndeyekuti ukatoitaura ndatoibatawo. Next time handichati Jena akati nokuti anonona sizvo ngatidai. It becomes normal. It becomes the value.
Munoziva kuti tinotoita maseedbed mwedzi wakati madhesi anoti.
And you want to go to it. Name Jena. Necessary, I said,
but you see, the same applies also even my gadgets, these small gadgets, like my cell phone, smartphone. You give your child a smartphone. But what that person is going to tell you about what that gadget does is actually going to shock you. Because that person drive in there and everything. And learn.
You go and tell us kune adventure learning in education. Kana yakuda ku skills application mota hakuna. Munyari. Adventure learning yet
But the time is dangerous. By the time it's dangerous.
Mwana ukapa mwana kuti okay phone. By the time of the day anenga kuziva kuti pane ka game kadai. Pane ma games. Anenga kutoziva. That's adventure learning. Yamunotaura ku education ke. So what's the problem?
And for example, this reading stuff, not everybody learn by reading. I learn by video. If I watch and do, I pause and I do. Even reading, if I'm going to read it, I need to do it practical. Yeah. Isn't it? Because if I finish the book and then you say go and do practical, I'm like, I forgot what I read.
Because you've got tertiary thinking. It facilitates tertiary thinking.
What I've read is gone. I need to read the sentence. Yeah. It's like teaching someone to fix a car by reading a book. Okay.
I've just been reading. I've just been reading an article.
Yes, we
Yakagadzizo.
need to read. Read. Okay, touch that one. Okay, take that one off. Okay, you screw that one on. No, not
And
like
they will not want to see what,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, okay.
This is it. We
Right.
learn by doing. Because at the moment we watch a lot of movies, we talk a lot, and we watch a lot of videos, but we are not actually doing.
Musi
Action
wamunokaona
orientation.
kamwana kakabairira kuda kuita John Cena kachibva pasilingi apa kachienda
Yeah,
kachienda pasapa.
You
negative
can
knowledge.
teach me. I can read a lot on farming, tobacco. I will read books and books, but if you put me in the field, I've got no idea.
Ukandipa chance kuti ndimbotaura nenyaya yatobhako unofunga kuti nepurasi hombe iwe. Asi ndikauya kupurasi kwako ninge ndakatorasika singai.
So you see, that is why we are saying now this that's one of the impacts also of this technology, where there's over dependence, right, on those gadgets.
Technology.
Yes, you end up depending on that those things, and you don't want to think outside your box.
Stages ayo. Kune inonzi primary stage yetechnology. Though you are moving mwana jena. You know the ins and outs. That's where you make the mistakes. That's where you correct stuff and so on. Because is
The secondary.
It's no secondary. You can articulate it in such a way that on. Mr. Jen, what do you think? Yeah, it's correct. But Muna game race and you. That's why Mama brokers have become so important in the daily life. Like daily life, you must want. Because you can do a broker. Okay, what do you know about tobacco? For argument's sake. Munakadaro, you can hire them. Anotengisa tobacco to my external markets because they must be in a position to understand the brand language, effective communication, positioning, brand manifesto, to be in a position to talk the language, talk the talk, and walk the walk. But then that's what happens. Because in those 5 minutes over 5 minutes, that's all I need.
But you find some of us are so you cannot separate us from the resources that we do have, the natural resources. Now, if you look, I'll give you a typical example of what is happening in the vicinity, where you find some people digging all the mountains because they just want that lithium thing, and digging the whole place around.
When you are at one, what you're talking about, Jenna, when you're at one with your environment, you look after your environment. When you wake up in the morning, you can actually look outside and tell somebody it's going to rain today. They say, how do you know? Because you are at one with your environment. When you look at your crop, even in the earliest stage, you know something is attacking my crop. And if you tell me, I'll be like, how do you know? It's green, it's lovely. No, there's something wrong with my crop. Because you are at one. You preserve your forest because you know your forest will help your crop, it will help the environment. You are at one. You are not destroying it for the sake of destroying it. What you are talking about is destroying it for the sake of destroying it, because there is a way of mining that will preserve the environment. But we are not doing that. We are just after that one thing. Not destroy munda wese gomorese ngari pasi ndichage vangani vari kuwana vangani vari kuvhara maburi avavhura hapana. So we are not preserving. We are just destroying to get to the end result.
And end result that we are not making any money.
We are not making. That's the thing. We are not getting to the end result either.
No, money is being made. Money is being made, but maybe by someone.
wakutaura sei
vanhu vari kutsitsiridza vamwe vachiwira mukati imomo.
tatapata muromo zvakanaka wacho
Not everyone.
Not everyone taura
tata
hapo.
kubata
We want the
muromo
eye concept. Eye concept, Makombe. Eye concept. You must deal with yourself.
yeah
If you are not getting it, don't say you win.
unongoti ai zvinhu zvacho zviri kunesa havasi kumbowana mufungi zvakaoma
And anoita mari ndimiddleman. Uyo anototengera iwo wawira pasi.
Remember, kuita middleman is an effective skill. But a lot of people underestimate good middleman. I can sell anything. Anything. Because once you understand brand, I can.
About anything.
Yeah. Because what tends to happen is kudzidza chinhu chine non-syllabus model munei ndezvei ndezva. Yeah. Saka is the common equation, like I keep saying. I mean, who, why, what, when, where, and how. It answers your questions all the time. And the primary principal person is you. You are the I. Saka benefit analysis inouya kwandiri. I. Right. One who's here, they're not chasing for success. They're not chasing for success. Success, ukatenga mota, ukatenga chi, ukadai, that's success. They're chasing value. Value is repeat business. Once people understand that you got the value, you're in business forever. I haven't spoken to them for years. We are foot, which means value is repeat business. Success in opera. If we invest in liquid money, yeah, it will expire. But wealth creation is continuity. Dr. Andega.
And so you see, we all agree that the benefits are not equally distributed. That's what we've just been talking about now.
They don't have to.
But now, what can we do now? Because you see, there is now a digital divide between the people. So what can we do? How can we keep the people together? Is it possible? Because the globe is to continue. People must be there.
Together,
but you cannot keep on now standing on top of each other.
There's something we call corporate, what is it called? Corporate propaganda on oneness. The other books call it utopia of dreams. If you keep on working at this farm, very soon you have your own farm. Yeah, and you're telling a laborer who is working left, right, and center. He's 60 or 55. How any price? He's chasing something he cannot achieve. But the fact that you're a very powerful entity in terms of encouragement. Also, mwana ukaitirana nemauti kana ticha wedu akadaro. Because unenge uri kuya an effective power ekuti ticha ndiye atori neyese. So whatever happens, you will become as an authoritative figure. When you become an authoritative figure, you develop a consolidated entity. The one you work for, and but they may not get the farm after all, or they may die. So, when you work with my systems, that's why I always encourage most systems to revolve around I. That's why I call myself a premium capitalist.
But yes, you're talking about you being a premium capitalist, but that leads to social isolation. You don't end up now with people that are not connected. People just connect for the sake of 1, 2 things.
Jenna, you're doing exactly the same thing I'm doing. You're just doing it in a polite manner.
Kubata ma-resources kwakanaka stereki handiti. Vari kubata ma-resources dai takwanisa kudzosera back into community. By that I mean by that I mean ukavaka factory yako handiti vanhu ivo vakakushandiro uchaita mari but vanhu vanoonawo mabasa. Handiti that's what I mean when I say let's, instead of taking everything out of our communities, let's take them back into community. Let's create infrastructures dzinokwanisa kuti vanhu vedu ivavo vari kuchera ava vawane mabasa.
But the problem is that institutions are not institutions as such, but this technology that we are moving on with, it's now automizing a lot of things. So if you end up with those big factories and everything, but no one is employed in there, there's only one person sitting on a computer monitoring how the processes are going on.
That's why brokerage is
not even a person, AI doing everything.
That's why brokerage is the biggest word that is coming to this nation.
I think makambo vajena makambotaura nenyaya yeprocessing kuti ma-resources edu atinochera kana kuti atinorima kana kuti atinowana ma-communities medu akaprocesswa in the same community. Handiti mari iyoyo inodzokera mucommunity medu instead yekuti zvimbono exportwa zvozonoprocesswa kunyika dziri kure kana kuti kune rimwe dunhu kana kuti I think mairevera pafodya or something kuti tikacreata ma-resources akadaro, whether we are using technology or not, zvinotobatsira chete mudunhu medu kuti tichawana better schools, better roads, better things like that.
And also I think if we improve productivity and we actually, another sector that will evolve is the service sector, where these people can actually be channeled into service. Well, you need comfort, you need holidays, you need a lot of good transport system. So if the productivity gets increased, it will filter into other avenues.
Look here. The objective is to create profit, right? You sit back and say, how am I going to achieve this type of profit? You create clusters in your system. And then you measure your productivity projection. No matter in the worst case scenario, I don't know, 1 million. Can I with 500,000 or whatever. No. Sakaga, the primary thought process is on me. It's on you. You also guys. That's why in the tobacco industry, kwakwina Galaha, kwakwina iyo boka. There were quite Rothmans of Palmer, wanda, competing the same thing, but they were not they were not doing tobacco as per se. Why would we to pay necessary? Would have tell we have to come and examine more. Anyway, what you tell us okay, oh, you're doing very well, and after to headlines and so on. They created a marketplace across the board.
So we need to create that again.
No, that one is created, well polished. There is well willed.
Yeah,
it's moving. That's why we're now almost the biggest producer.
Now,
well oiled.
Let's create in different fields then.
Yeah. If you have to look at that,
mugadzire machira futi, mutange kuita bata, mugadzire bhutsu dzenyu, mutange kuita, kwana mutaro kwakuine mamwe mafama itogadzira waini dzavo. Ngatigadzire maclusters akadaro.
Pamarandera sapa, kwaigadzirwa mukuyu wai.
Ndosaka ndiri kutaura kuti let's get rid of those clusters. ava vari kuita zvokurima ehe zviri kutofamba izvozvo. Ngatichigadzirai machira. Ko machira edu ana Whitehead vakaendepi? Let's go back.
Vana Whitehead vanouya if the correct environment.
Environment, mukaenda kuenvironment takuya kupolitics ka.
Hatisi kuenda iko. It's too much environment. Because anotaura I'm in link nemakambani anogadzira Sandak. Munoziva Sandak bhutsu yeZimbabwe. Tinayo. Those of guys vanogona kugadzira bhutsu dzakadaro. But one question iyoyo yandogara ndichitaura ayo environment haiti.
Vanenge vachireveka kana vachiti environment haiti.
Ndiwataura politics
vantu kuri kunaya here.
Ndiwataura politics
No, but the environment is conducive to some people who have adapted to that environment, and they're actually pushing and moving on. In that environment. We don't need any complacent people at the moment. We need people that push that environment.
Adaptation yaakutaura ikai ine ground rules ayo. Mugemu rako iroro raunoita iroro. Ndikada kuuya ini as a starter. Ndauyawo kuti ndinoda kudai. I'll struggle big time. Because mune mamwe unwritten constitutional rules and clues arimo. Aunoziwa iwewe, you are not going to share immediately.
I think we need to go back to the technological advancement, because if we go on to that story, it will end up being one-on-one with you guys, and I'll be justifying because I'll tell you what I'm seeing here, which you don't see. We can get a program of that nature, not this one.
What role should platforms like this do to facilitate making a conducive environment?
No, it's not making a conducive environment, but selling the environment that is conducive, that can be understood how it operates.
Tinomhanya nazvo izvo. Tinongoda bhachi chete izvi. Tinomhanya nazvo. Tinoda bhachi chete. Because we can facilitate.
Yeah, there are those watching us on YouTube. If you have got any comments, we would love to hear your comments in the chat box. And you know we are almost to our scheduled time, of which is an hour most of the time. If you can also think about what our closing remarks can be with regard to this such a very interesting topic. I think all the topics that we deal with are topics we are not doing them justice by just having a one-off. I think we should begin to think about a series of different topics. But anyway, let's come to our thoughts of closing remarks.
Okay, Misha, before I go on to the conclusions, I just want to tell you there's also one other thing that I wanted to mention on this negative impact on the technological advancement. The issue of information security, privacy, and security concerns. I think this one, if Shumba was here, you should have told us a lot about this privacy and security concerns. Because now people are now bulging into other people's information. You find out that when you are calling, there's someone recording that information, it passes through. There's a lot of things that are going on. It's no longer only one-to-one communication. Someone will monitor it. Is that right with this technology?
Yeah.
No. What their argument is, I mean, they're trying to, they call it public interest.
I
don't
but
know.
in that, But in that notion, they try to do it that way, but it is then misused
Yeah,
because you find that information now being divulged for someone's benefit.
yeah.
And I think one of the dilemma of technologies, it doesn't have any, what can I say, a character or whatever. It takes the character of the person in whose hands it is. If it is in good hands, it will be for good. If it is in bad hands, just like any other weapon, if you give it to someone, a murderer, you use a knife to kill. If you give it to nasoko vanokuvendzengera hemu wanatokuitira chikafu chinonaka mukitchen saka
Aikonoteerera soko zvinhu zvakadaro uri kupi kweyo?
It lacks the human nature. There's no empathy. There's no feeling.
Ndiuri kutsengwa uri kuramba uchiti ndadii?
Hanzi tinogona kubika kamaita henyu maita
une zvaakutenda munhu uya. All right. Achati akonei muri kuti maita henyu mufoni.
hanzi tinobika zvana maabika izvi.
Okay. Ugona iwe.
Mubikiro wedu kana muZimbabwe kwakambe kune advert yainzi vapfeke amahoteleni vasala pansi.
Yeah.
Vanobika mahotera vanosara pansi. Hanzi roiko usavi ndisutairewa iva
Awachembereyo kana utanya roiko sawe. Wawe mazuva.
Kopane pandiri mucheche nai mwana wangu mwana iwe. Uya nehanda mudzimai wekutanga.
yajene yekuisa hanzi ukaona wakamboita this medical operation yekugadzira tape uchisanhengerekeneso waakuda kuritaya
Kuita sei? Jena anoyanete manhamba.
Oyo ugadzira cassette player. Zvikanama
Kurira. Vanhu vakaramba
Can you imagine takatombofara kuti yakwane auto reverse inoreva kuti yakudzoka.
Mozodai neballpoint kana yapera kurira mozodaiso neballpoint. Ndakambopuhwa yangu yaDolly Parton.
Let's do our closing remarks before we go into soon.
Okay.
Who wants to go first on the closing remarks?
I'll go.
Okay, so go.
I think technology is like everything else. If used right, we'll benefit. If we use it wrong, we will not benefit. So we need to think, as well as we think about our technology, let's think about our environment. How is the technology going to affect our environment, good or bad? And if we learn it correctly, I think it might help us. Some of it, most of it, might help us.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the digital divide. Yes, technological advancement is good, but because of this digital divide, where you find that it must be accessed by everyone at the same time, but in the real sense, it doesn't go that way. So there's always some disadvantaged nations or people. So there are those people that cannot. As a result, you find that they are always taken advantage of with the people that are quick to get to the resources. And I can just stop there.
Oh, thank you very much, and This was a thought-provoking conversation from the beginning when you begin by acknowledging that this technological advancement, it has got both positives and negatives. Uh, Positives being in the improved communication, improved healthcare, and leapfrogging of uh, smaller economies, but in the same manner where it is helping with the healthcare, it is giving us this sedentary lifestyle, which is also detrimental to us and the resources. And I think I liked your mention of the nuclear energy, where we enjoy the output of the nuclear energy, but the waste is sometimes a menace to deal with. Uh, and I think Makombe came with the asserting that Africa is flooded with skills, but it needs the appraisal so that we, especially the tertiary education, I think Soko has also alluded to that effect that we need to do more of the practical. I remember we have got here our granddaughter. I always watch her when she's on when she's learning aerobics and everything. She will be putting the video there. Then she mimics what they are doing, which shows so was actually alluded that when she's learning, especially on YouTube, she learns better by doing, even when she's reading a book. And for the final remarks, I think Soko just say technology is neutral. When we use it for the best, it will be good for us, but sometimes it will be for negative. But when we are using it, let's think about our environment because it either have a positive or negative impact. And then your final emphasis is on the digital divide, where our capacity to embrace the technology is limited in terms of what we have. So sometimes other nations are taking advantage when they are ahead of us. It's particularly Africa. So we need to work hard to close the gap. Um, Makombe had disappeared. I think he has come back. So we give him the honor just to give his final remarks and close the broadcast for us.
No, my final remark is very simple. I keep thinking we should coordinate and correlate with each other in a positive manner. Technology is not going to run away. It's something that's going to evolve. So we have to embrace it. We have to follow all the technical tertiary syllabuses associated with it. And a luta continua. We have to fight until the end.
With that, we come to the end of our broadcast. So, good night, good morning, wherever you are watching us from.